Good morning, afternoon, evening, where everyone is. I guess for me, it's technically afternoon, even though it's kind of feels like morning still. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. We'll give everybody a little bit to get here as we get started. I'd like to first thanks for listening. I don't know if he's able to listen today. Wasn't able to join us, but he was my main contact at first, and I got most of my information about today from Operation Ida. And unfortunately, he can't join us. So just wanted to give him a quick shout out. I am joined by three gentlemen today from Ida. We've got Blake A, that other guy, and Ninj. Who should we start with, guys? Which one of you guys wants to go first? Well,
Anybody now?
Ninj. Why don't we start with you? As I understand, you are the founder of the group, so why don't you start? Introduce yourself, and kind of brief introduction about yourself. We'll go through everybody, and then we'll talk more specific about what Ida is.
Okay, I'm not quite the founder, but I
Okay.
kind of inherited it. Not long after it had been founded.
Gotcha.
I'm in the UK. I've been playing the game almost since the beginning.
Yeah,
And
okay.
about sort of time when I was getting kind of almost bored of the game, the Thargoid started attacking stations, and Operation Ida is what's kept me going.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. And like I said, we'll get more specific into Operation Ida and stuff like that here in just a little bit. That other guy, why don't you introduce yourself too?
I'm from East Coast US, so probably same time zone as a couple other people here.
Yeah. Same as me.
I've been flying for a couple of years, 2.5 years maybe, and yeah, I started to hit end game content and saw that there wasn't a huge amount of it, and said, "What am I going to do with myself?" And then broken space stations. What do you know?
Yeah. Okay. And finally, Blake A, why don't you do the same for us?
My name is Blake. I've been playing Elite for maybe 18 months or so, and I was looking for a sense of community when I found Operation Ida.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And then we'll just for you guys, this will just kind of my questions and stuff. Our chit chat will just be kind of general here. So feel free to chime in, as you guys would like, as you guys feel is appropriate to answer it. Actually, why don't we quickly before we jump to that? Why don't you guys talk about your individual roles in Ida? Why don't we start with we'll go. Let's see. We'll go alphabetical here, or we'll go in Discord order. So that other guy, why don't you start off?
Oh, my role.
Yeah.
I guess I started out as just a plain old hauler like everybody else who joins up, and eventually I suppose everyone saw I was hanging around long enough, active enough, trusted enough, and now I guess I'm Discord moderation and paperwork stuff. I guess is that what I do? What do I do around here?
You don't get paid.
Yeah,
that much.
Okay, great. And Blake, why don't you go next?
I too started out just providing useful information on answering questions, and I answered so many questions that some people thought maybe I should do it with a title behind my name, and so now I am answering questions, maybe mentoring some new players, and doing a little bit of data analysis in the sense that some of us really like numbers, and presenting those numbers in a way that helps people be more effective at what they do makes me happy.
Okay. And Ninj, finally, why don't you do the same?
I've kind of been here from the beginning. Not long after the station attacks started, I was approached by a couple of people who wanted to start repairing the Oracle out in what's now known as Delphi. And within a few days of us starting that operation, getting a few people together from different groups, we were approached by a group called Operation Ida that he created, and he was trying to just get people together to start actually repairing these stations. I joined in as sort of helping out running, and within a few weeks, the guy who put it together didn't have the time to commit, so I kind of took over, really.
Okay.
Make decisions, hire people. I say hire, there's no money involved.
Of course.
Choose people, and generally make them sell their souls to me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I let me also at this point, I just kind of docked in one of the damage stations just to, just to have a little interesting visual in the background. Let me start back up a little bit and just not assume everybody knows what's going on here. But these are stations. There's a lot. I'll show you guys the galaxy map here. You can see the ones that are currently damaged. That like the one that I'm in right now. It looks like there's 6 right now. And then the ones that are being repaired, which is a much bigger list, as everybody can see on screen right now. And these are stations that have been attacked by the Thargoids, right? So they've been taken offline, and generally, and again, correct me guys if I'm wrong with any of this, but once a station is attacked, it stays in the attack state, like the station I'm in right now, for 1 week, and then at the end of that week, it goes into a repairing state. However, once it gets to that repairing state, nothing will happen or be repaired for that station unless we do something about it, right? So, oh man, I didn't even think to bring a heat sink, and I'm like melting right now. And so, it's important, again, the only way that any of these stations get repaired is if we do it. So that's where you guys came about. And did I get anything wrong with any of that, or is that pretty much it for the most part?
That is it. That's perfect, dude.
Yeah, yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about, how you guys got started. I'm actually interested. I talked a little bit with, thanks for listening, about how the name came about. Do you guys want to share a little bit about that and kind of how the group got started?
Ninja could probably share a little bit about the Greek mythology that's in the Pleiades Nebula.
Yeah, the group was named Operation Ida after Mount Ida, so we've got mythological connections there. As the story goes, when Zeus shook Aegis, which is his shield, it created thunder. The other thing with Operation Ida is because it's named after a mountain, we kind of moved a little bit from the mythology theme.
Okay.
And we move mountains. We move mountains of commodities. It literally is that big. The amount of stuff that we have moved and traded, and the sheer efforts that have gone on in the past and still continue to do.
I'm getting hyperdicted, by the way. Good timing for this, actually. I don't think I've ever gotten hyperdicted on stream before. So for those that have not been hyperdicted before, this is when you get ripped out of hyperspace by 1 or more Thargoids, and this time it was 3. Let me get into the external cam to show the kids. It's a shame too, because the original hyperdictions were much creepier than these current new ones. It used to be that one would grab you, and it would grab you from behind, and it would kind of sneak up around you, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a lot more atmospheric in a way than the current ones are. If I was outfit for combat, you could engage. This is an active state; it's not just a cutscene, so I could engage them if I chose. As you see, my ship is now coming back online just as they finish scanning me, and they're gonna just fly away because I didn't do anything to piss them off. We'll wait till they fly away. And so, okay, so let's talk about, you talk about moving mountains to get this done. Let's talk about what those mountains are, like what it takes to get this done, what, how many commodities, what type of commodities, how players know about the commodities. Let's talk about that side of all this.
There exists a list of 24 commodities that are required to repair a station. And out of those 24, every space station requires a random assortment of 15 out of those 24. And the amount that's required is dependent upon the station. I don't believe we found a algorithm of why some stations require more.
Okay.
But a given amount of commodities are required to bring that station back to repair, and it requires the effort of hundreds of thousands of tons, possibly 1 or 2 million tons of commodities required to bring that station back online.
Yeah, so I mean, we really are talking significant amounts of work. When you talk about literally millions of tons of cargo, and it's interesting that. Do you think that you mentioned the algorithm as to what a station needs? Do we think that that's kind of hand of godded by Frontier? Do you think there's an algorithm to it that we just haven't kind of figured out? What's your gut say?
Ninja?
I think you're the man for this. You're the stats boy.
Mhm.
You hear the word algorithm, you're getting excited.
Oh boy. Well, there is not enough of a connection to draw a conclusion on why it all works. No,
Okay.
we don't have a definitive answer.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. And so then about how long does it usually take to get a station back online?
When we were in the Palladius Nebula, the effort was taking about 1 month per station.
Okay,
And now that we're in the bubble, it's taking about 1 week per station.
okay, okay. And roughly how many stations right now are damaged? 60, 70, something like that?
Approximately 96.
No, wow, okay, okay. A good bit higher than I had thought. So, okay, all right. And so how do you guys decide what station you're going to repair next?
While we would like to say that we gather around a stone table and discuss into the wee night hours by torchlight, we actually just look at some simple things such as what is required, how much is required, where is the station, and does the station have any affiliation to a superpower? Because we try to make sure that we don't show any bias in any direction and repair stations regardless of who owns them.
Okay, I was going to ask that. Like, can player groups submit to have their stations repaired? Is there a way, to kind of request that? Like, if you were, let's say you had an in-game faction and your in-game faction station was damaged, do you guys take those kind of requests, or do you just kind of ignore that and try to go, kind of general, like you just said?
Anyone else want to take that?
We have a request form for that.
You do? Okay. Okay.
I don't remember exactly where it is, but I know we have a request form.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Is it somewhere on the Operation Ida website?
I think so. I was at the website now looking, and it looks like you guys have the links set up for it.
Okay.
And let's show that to the kids. Let me bring that.
I
Okay.
put a
So,
link to the website in chat.
and where on there would I look? Let's see. Do I just scroll down?
I might be missing something.
Oh, there we go. Okay, current repair target, next repair target. Yeah, yep, okay. Wow, and you guys have got this scheduled out. Okay, not scheduled. These are the previous stations that I see
Yeah,
repaired.
the history. Yeah, there you go. Neat.
Few player groups. Yeah, okay. And so, let's see. How would players, how do folks get involved, right? If they, are you guys really formal about how you allow players in? Is it just here's what you go do and here's how you deliver? I mean, how formal is that, and how does that work?
Oh, geez, anyone who wanders up in their pajamas.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's very informal. We have no set real schedules or quotas for anybody to keep. It's anybody who can contribute with any kind of ship anytime they want to. We do just ask that we collect the numbers so that we can keep track of how is left on a given station. So we ask people to mark their deliveries on our Discord.
Okay.
But other than that, it's buy stuff where you can and sell it to the market.
Yeah, okay. And as far as reporting goes, is there an in-game metric is there an in-game stat that, that will show you how far along a station is? Is there, how do you keep track of what's still needed, things like that?
Inside your ship, on the right-hand panel, you have access to the Galnet, which can bring up the list of all the stations currently needing repair and their current quotas of what is remaining.
Okay,
And
so I'm so slow for just a second. So I just went to Galnet News, and we're saying it's in Galnet News, correct?
Galnet News, Thargoid report.
Let's find that. Did I miss it already? Oh, there it is. Thargoid activity report. Oh, okay. And there's the Starport activity report.
And we happen today to be in a station starting with L, and that station has the required commodities required to bring it back online. And anyone from any ship in any part of the galaxy can view this list of what is required.
I'm trying to find it in the list right now.
And you guys, it looks like have a spreadsheet going too. I'm looking through your spreadsheet. Is this
Oh,
something-
we got so many spreadsheets.
Yeah, look. Yeah, there's multiple ones set up for station repairs, hauling calculator, sheet management. Like you've got a lot going on here.
And what is
Wow.
that? Sorry, what is the station name we're repairing right now? It's I see it.
Liberick
Now. I
City
see it.
Hub.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Gotcha. And so I'm looking at the different stats right now. Like right now, you need indium, gallium. Let's see, we've finished out a bunch. Semiconductors, power. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Alrighty.
We also make all this information readily available on our Discord. We keep it up to date, telling people what's needed still. Also, 12-hourly reports on
Yeah.
what's been delivered, what
Yeah.
showing has delivered.
And the other thing I wanted to show the folks, and I assume it's okay for me to share a link to the spreadsheet, right? Is that right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Spreadsheet tasks. Let me just paste that in for everybody. So this spreadsheet right here tracks everything that they've got going on. You can see, for example, Lee Orbital here, this in red. That was the one I just visited, just to show you guys what a burning station looked like. And the one here in blue is the one that's currently the current operation. Is that right, guys?
Yep.
Correct.
And then you can see, I'm just going to scroll up and show you can see all the ones here in green are the ones that have already been repaired. So quite a list. How many, do you guys know how many you've repaired at this point?
Approximately 36.
Okay. That's a pretty damn good dent. And it's really just as simple as buying and delivering, that specific cargo. So it's very similar to a community goal in that aspect, other than you don't get any bonus out of this. In fact, what kind of credits are you generally? I'm assuming you're making money on the trades here. There's never a time when you're losing money. Is that correct?
Losses are very rare.
Yeah. Okay.
Biggest benefit is the smiling faces on the children that you help.
Sure. I'm all about gameplay for gameplay's sake, and not necessarily to try to, like around credits or anything like that, right? I mean, I'm a huge fan of fun for having fun, right? In this case, guys, looking at the list before, we talked about it ahead of time. I know computer components was one of the things that was necessary, so I'm just going to buy myself a full load of computer components here. Just quickly, for those that might be somewhat new to this kind of stuff, and I actually have a tutorial on EDDB already, but if you go to EDDB, you can then scroll down to, for example, I went to the commodities tab. I'm going to computer components. Oops, hold on. My browser window got a little screwed up. Give me a second here. I'll fix that. It got cut off. There we go. And we go to, I'm buying this. I want a large landing pad. My reference system is our delivery system. So right now that's HIP 4024. So we put that in. And we can say find stations, and it will show us the closest stations nearby. You'll notice that I'm in this Wui-Jui, however the hell you say that, system. The one above it, Turbacano. It sounds like that tobacco plant from The Simpsons, doesn't it? That's closer, but its station is 118 light seconds out, which would obviously suck. This one was much closer, so I went ahead and used that system. So then just get over here. I buy my computer components. All done. Go ahead and launch while we then plot. And I went ahead and pre-filled the systems. So we'll plot back to where we're headed. And come on, system map. Okay, well, that's interesting. The system map doesn't want to open. Imagine that, a bug in Elite. And we'll just go there and sell our wares. Once we get there, I'll jump back over to the browser into their Discord and show you guys where you then report in the Discord what you would do, right? And let's see. Let me look through the questions. One of the things we also could talk about here as we get to it is, kind of ships and outfitting. And let's not let the damned auto talk just slam me right into the station. Thank you. As I'm being lazy and using the docking computer so I can talk while I'm doing this. And it just slammed me right into the station. Thanks.
You get what you deserve.
I do. I'm sure I haven't looked at the comments, but I'm sure somebody in the comments is making fun of me for that. that as they should. So talking about outfitting and ships briefly, really, I mean, as you said before, you can use anything you want, right? Obviously,
Yep.
you're going to want to use one of the bigger cargo class carriers. Has there ever been a case where you have to use a medium class ship? I'm assuming there's never been a case where the commodities you have to get only come from medium pads or something like that. We're always able to use large class, correct?
That's correct.
It's never been required. It's been an option.
Yeah, sure, right. So you could literally go, I mean, you could start the game in a Sidewinder and do this. You'd be crazy, but you could do it in a Sidewinder if you chose to. And so, as you see, like, I never, ever fly the cutter. I'm not a big fan of the cutter, but I thought, hey, why not? Let's use the cutter today because, it is arguably, between it and the Type 9, the two kings of trade. The primary difference between the cutter and the Type 9, you're going to be able to get more cargo with a shield in the Type 9. But the cutter, if you've got it unlocked, is going to give you higher speed, much higher defenses. I went ahead and slapped together a pretty big build for this. So I've got, 4,600 megajoules of shields and 3,200 integrity of armor. So, not much is going to get.
Shoot your enemies much easier.
That true too. If you're a combat cargo guy and want to bring some weapons, I didn't. Or you're going to use some. The negative with the cutter obviously is it's going to require unlock, right? So you've got to grind out rank to get it. Where the Type 9, you're obviously not going to have to deal with that. Quickly, let me comment. I've seen a couple of you guys either getting interdicted or fighting off interdictions. Are you guys in the delivery system that's happening? Where are you guys getting hit right now?
I just got interdicted on the system next door, but it didn't last very long as he decided to take a small detour into a star.
Okay. And just a random NPC interdiction, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
random pirate NPCs who want that tasty cargo.
Sure. And I will point out something that personally I disagree with that the guys are doing, which is I just have to throw it out there, right? They're maxing out cargo and not running shields, which honestly I would never recommend. Oof. Now the difference is you take the risk, right? I mean, it's kind of part of what you decide is your level of risk. I personally would take like in this, I'm running a small class 5 or class 6 shield. So, I give up, 64 tons of cargo space for the shield. The reality is if you're doing this all day and you're doing run after run, sure, that absolutely does add up. Personally, I like doing these kind of things in open. And so I'm pretty much never going to run shieldless in open, which I would recommend to everyone, again, based on your level of risk aversion. Let's talk about that a little bit. I brought that up with Blake before the stream. If you guys had any kind of policy or stance on open versus private versus solo, what would you guys say? Is there an official stance on that?
Do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
We have private groups on every platform. Sometimes people use them. Sometimes people fly in open. Sometimes we drop to solo if things are getting laggy or crowded.
Yeah. Okay. So just kind of whatever you choose as your level of risk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Very much.
Again, I'll say if you're doing this in open, these guys are definitely being baller by doing it that way. And okay, hold on.
That's one way to put it.
That's one way to put it. Sure,
yeah, to me it's like baiting the mousetrap and not having the mousetrap not have any spring to catch the mouse. Like you're no defense. Like you gotta be able to kill and defend yourself. So that's awesome to be able to.
I'm definitely
As
like
a trade-off.
Yeah, and this is where Aposto and I will disagree in that I don't ever run weapons on a trade ship, right? He's not wrong that if you're the combat guy and you want to do a little combat once you get interdicted, I hate combat in large class ships already, so I'm just not going to bother with that. But you certainly can, right? So if you're going to run something like the cutter, throw a bunch of weapons on it, and you can kind of have a little bit of diversion from the trade grind. I've made no secret of the fact that I am not a fan of trade personally. That said, this I do really kind of dig, right? Because you've got a role play perspective to it. There's more to it than just go here, click buttons, fly here, click buttons, right? There is a purpose behind it. You're working with other commanders, and personally, I think that's great. By the way, I don't know if that's one of you guys leaving the station right now in a cutter.
Oh, yeah, that was me in the bright green cutter.
Yeah, well, we just got a nice shot of you as you flew out and flew away.
Luckily, it wasn't Commander Light flying out.
Let's talk about briefly piracy, right? And and player, specifically, like NPCs for the most part are way easy to deal with. Do you guys run into much issue with with humans?
When we were out in the Pleiades Nebula, we would see another human once a week. And we were making trade runs that were, at times, 400 light years in each direction.
Sure.
And so we would max out our cutters for maximum jump range, and we were doing 50 light year unladen cutters. And that's why some of us were running shieldless, and we would not see much player activity way out there.
Sure.
And now that we're back in the bubble, there is some player activity, but they're not bothering us. Perhaps they are not interested in attacking a humanitarian aid group, or perhaps we're just... But no, we have not.
Yeah. There's some that would revel in that, unfortunately, right?
Absolutely.
But okay, yeah, and so, but then the actual, because I'll say that personally, I'm a big, my favorite gameplay, to be honest, is role playing PvP pirate, right? I love PvP piracy. Now, I do what I call gentleman piracy, meaning since I'm just doing it for the role play, I demand 2 tons. I generally use something like the biggest class ship I'll use is a Cobra 3. I usually do it in a Sidewinder. And again, it's all about that, that role play, not about, not about trying to kill. I mean, I have killed before, right? But my goal is if you stop and you interact with me, that's really all I care about. Right. Do you guys run into piracy like that very often, or is that pretty rare as well?
I would say it's pretty rare, honestly.
Oh, and thanks. Just joined us. Great. I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
No,
yes,
please.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty rare. During one of our last events where we were able to repair 2 stations within 15 hours, we did kind of want to make the event somewhat enticing and fun for all players. So we did actually ask pirates to be involved. The Code were one player group that we did ask to kind of be involved, just to kind of scare people here and there, make it seem a little intense and fun. And same thing, it was all for role play. Basically, they would ask to do that kind of stuff, to drop 2 tons or an X amount. But sadly, though, the Code wasn't able to show up exactly on time. And so we were luckily to be graced by the one and only Harry Potter.
Okay.
And so,
okay.
Yeah, and so Harry did an excellent job of basically filling in for our pirate position, basically, for the day. And he had fun going around interdicting pirates and asking them to either dance for him or give him, tell him a joke. It was dance for him or tell him a joke.
Sure.
On our Discord, we had about 20-25 people in a voice chat, and Harry decided to join us during this time. And he even had one of the commanders play him a song, a theme song on guitar, in order to spare his life. So, but yes, we do. I mean, other than like what we decide to, I guess, ask for pirates or whatever, we really don't ever truly see pirates. Now, after the show, I'm sure we might now run into a few more pirates.
It's possible, right?
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, the amount of tonnage that we move within a 24-hour span doesn't ever really stop. So even if we did run into 1 or 2 pesky pirates, they never truly ever stop what we do as a group.
Sure. I mean, and I think for most, I think you kind of have got 2 classes of pirates, right? You've got the guys that are doing it as an excuse to attack and for the most part kill, right? Then you've got the guys that literally just enjoy the role play. I mean, for me, if somebody stops and just interacts with me, I almost don't even care about the cargo, right? To be blunt, a lot of times, especially if I'm in Sidewinder, I don't even pick it up, right? I'm in a fucking Sidewinder. I don't have room for your cargo. I just want to have fun and kind of interact with you and attack a cutter with a Sidewinder, right? I mean, what more fun is that, right? For me, it can be frustrating that I get combat logged on a lot, and it just kills me when a cutter will combat log on me and I'm in a Sidewinder, right? It's like, really? You're really afraid I'm going to kill you in a Sidewinder? Now, that said, I have killed cutters with my Cobra before, right? So, it definitely can happen. Don't get too cocky there, kid. Right?
I think it's a whole lot of fun to have the weapons and the shields, because then I can tell a good joke with my rails and plasma accelerators and multi cannons and maybe some pack hounds.
Sure.
That's a funny story for you. Here's a song. I'll sing you a song.
Absolutely.
The song of my people.
Absolutely. Just quickly, let me show everybody. So I just delivered my 688 tons that I had with me. So now I'll jump over to their Discord. And if we look in Discord, they have a channel that's deliveries for, and it's whatever the specific system that they're looking at right now, right? And so literally, I'm assuming I just do 688 of, what did I do? Consumer tech? Computer components, that's right.
You could type comp. It'll recognize it.
Comp. And is there a bot that handles this?
Yeah, yes, sir. As of recently, yes.
Unknown human speak detected.
Oh, you probably either wrong timestamp or one of the other. Let's see.
Okay. So let's see. What do I need? 688.
You can edit your original post as well.
Oh, yeah, you can edit your original post. Yeah, just add a time to your post at the end of the day. Just current in-game time, please.
Gotcha.
But yes, the bot for this was all introduced during our the little event that I just talked about, where we repaired 2 stations in 15 hours. Beforehand, we had a group of people, admins and coordinators, that manually inputted all this info into our spreadsheets. All right, which, if you would like to show that stuff, you can see we have individual data on commanders on the spreadsheet you were looking at earlier. You can visibly see who hauled what and all that good stuff.
Oh my God, is that not right? It gave me an X, by the way. So I've got 688 comp 1730. Isn't that? And it's
is it comp or comps?
No, there probably isn't S. See, you know what? This is where I should be doing behind the scenes work and adding all these aliases to the bot.
There we go.
So the bot will just.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
And that's for something more smoother. And good job, us.
Tanky, add comp to the list.
Yep, there you go. Hey, I just did.
I just testing.
I was about to say I just did what I was told there, right? You know, nothing more, right?
And this bot was available for us on our 2 stations in 15 hours, where we had 18 commanders make a delivery in the first 2 minutes of that event.
Yep, it was crazy.
Wait, say that again. I missed that last little bit you said.
We were going to host an event to repair 2 stations, and we put out the words, gathering everybody. And within the first 2 minutes of the event, we had 18 commanders make their delivery, and the bot was able to handle all that for us, and we didn't have to do it manually.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then does the bot feed into the spreadsheet we saw before? Is that the idea?
Yes. Yeah. So if you were showing the, well, I mean, you don't have to do it right now, but going back to this, if you go to the spreadsheet and you click on the little, look for the little blue target that we're at right now, click the link button. If you click the link button, it'll take you to the individual specs on that one station.
Okay, yep, I see that.
You'll see tabs on the bottom, and on the tabs on the bottom, if you go to delivery data, you will then see all the populated cells of every commander that made their delivery, what time, how much, and so on and so forth. So we do keep tabs of, in a sense, kind of like Hutton, what our members do. A lot of our members do use Hutton Helper as well. So we do a lot of data keeping, I'll say it that way, collecting.
Okay. Is there a bit of a delay? I don't know that I see the one that.
Yes, it'll be. I want to say it's 7, like a 5 to 7 minute delay.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. And so I can see here the percentages, right, of how close we are. Like right now, you're roughly 29% to complete, right? Oh wait, that's indium actually. So I'm looking at each individual one now that I see that. So I've got so for computer components, like for example, I was maybe literally the first one that had done them. Is that? Oh no, wait, sorry. Now I scroll up. I'm seeing. Oh yep, there it is. Okay, there's the entry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
Yeah, and so.
Please. No, go right ahead.
Well, I don't want to go on a long rant, so I'd rather you ask.
No. Well, I was just going to say, what do you do with that data? Meaning, like, I know for the fuel rats, for example, they have a policy where they do, they have a thing called first limpet, where, once you get 10 first limpets, you kind of are officially a fuel rat and you get an in-game badge, that kind of thing. Do you guys have any sorts of those sorts of rewards or ranks or things like that?
Ranks, no. Rewards, yes. We do try to always, I guess you would say, give a shout out or recognize the members that do not anything, but just any kind of what we would consider feats. So we give rewards to people that either haul just an X amount of tons. Some people don't have big ships that can haul X amount of tons, but they can still make an X amount of deliveries that are equivalent to the people that made X amount of tons.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll give rewards for people that are in small ships that just did a lot of deliveries. People that go out and find commodities that are located 200 light years away, 300 light years away. We call them long-range hunters. Those people we also like to recognize as well, because those tasks are not easy in any way.
Yeah, and what usually is the maximum for, like what usually are some of the harder things to get, and is it common that there's something that's needed that is a couple hundred light years away?
Well, okay, well, so that's a kind of a loaded question. Back in the Pleiades, in some ways, when we first originally were in the Pleiades, there really was no, I guess you would say, economic or structure out there. I'll say it that way. We didn't have a lot of sources to pull from local sources.
Sure.
So basically, a lot of our hauling had to come from the bubble, which is about 300 light years away, about 600 to 800 light year round trip, just to make one delivery.
Yeah.
So that was initially, and so all commodities were that far. Now, being in the bubble, not all commodities are that far. There are still about 4 to 5 that are located about, again, maybe 150, 200 light years away. CMM composites are the most rarest commodity that we go after.
Okay.
We don't always need to find it, but it is one that basically you can only find on a planetary surface, and then they only spawn in very limited numbers. If anyone has ever looked for CMMs.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're used for. There's an unlock that they're required for, one of the techs, something like that. So I know that I've had to get them for that before, right? So I know that they are one of the, like you said, one of the more rare commodities that you need, right?
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, so that's basically one of the more rare ones. There are, like I said, out of the 4 or 5 that are considered rare, really they kind of only are considered rare because they're produced in about, I'll say, up to 5 to 6 markets, or maybe 10 markets within the bubble.
Okay.
So because it's such a selected area, I mean, you kind of have no choice but to fly to that area. And then, I mean, if you wanted to touch back on the data stuff, I mean, I can kind of go over the data stuff, unless the other guys would like to chime in. Blake, do you want to take the data question? Because that's a 2-point question.
Sure. Remind me, what was the data question?
The data question, why do we keep the data, Blake? Why do we keep this data?
Yes. Well, back when we started doing the station repair, which would be January of last year, we were working on the Oracle, and there was a suspicion that not every player delivery was being registered by the server.
Okay.
And that suspicion grew into a hypothesis that we needed to test, and we wanted to test the hypothesis by gathering data. So we started a spreadsheet of, let's say that a station required precisely 1 million tons, and so we would deliver precisely 1 million tons for the sake of argument.
Right.
Look at the GalNet report, and it would say station 80% complete, not 100%, 80%. And we would then send our data and our spreadsheet to Frontier and say, we're seeing a discrepancy here. Can you look into it? And they said, we'll look into it. Fast forward a couple months, and 3 bug reports later, I believe, and we would see that a station requires X amount, and we deliver precisely that amount, and then we'd walk away from the station and leave it alone for a day and see if it refreshed over time, to see if it ever counted. And so we went to a second station, delivered precisely the required tons, and a third station delivered precisely the required tons and left it alone, and those missing deliveries never showed up at all. And so we have our spreadsheet, which has been sent to the devs as proof of there being an issue, and also proof of saying, hey, here's the deliveries that we made. Did any of them not stick? We just presented the information to be as helpful as we can. But now the devs are looking into it, and the data we're still keeping so that we can give prizes to people who go above and beyond the call, and also to give out a simple. We also like to give out a spreadsheet to player groups that are wanting to repair their own space stations. So if you're a player group and you want to get into station repair and you want to know what it takes, we can give you a link to the spreadsheet of your station, which is being repaired and requires the commodities, and you can work on our copy of the spreadsheet in order to help you get started. That way we're all in this together and we're all getting stuff done and stations are being repaired.
Sure, sure. And like talking about some of the numbers real quick, because I remember you said, Blake, at the beginning of this, and from that you're kind of the numbers guy here. Uh, do you have some, like, what interesting stats would you throw out for the boys and girls? Like what are your, do you know total number of tons delivered in across the board? Like who the biggest deliverers are and those kind of things? Like what kind of numbers are we talking here?
With all this data, yes, I'll interrupt Blake, but yes, with all the data we've collected, we basically are in some ways able to tell all those things. We have, at least on our Discord, we can tell who's hauled the absolute most, what
Sure.
commodities they've hauled, if they're specified to a specific commodity. What else can we do with all that data? We basically use it for a lot of our, would you say, our events, our in-house things. We give away patches and stickers, paint packs, and other little goodies of that nature for reaching, again, what you would consider, I can't say ranks, but really just you hit an X amount of tonnage.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. I can speak, at least for the targets that Operation Ida has targeted and hauled for since January of last year. Operation Ida has hauled 30 million tons.
Wow.
I can actually be a little more specific, but yeah, it's 30.4 mil if I remember correctly.
Wow, that's impressive. And I don't know.
That's a mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I don't know if you want to necessarily name the top commander. I mean, feel free if you'd like. I'm curious what kind of the top commanders, like how many tons we're talking that they have moved.
I can speak for, actually I don't have a spread. Blake, be a sweetheart.
How about some individual numbers, but we keep the names redacted
Sure,
so that nobody feels called out.
So I can at least
That's
say
great.
that our number one member that has the most hauling has hauled over 1 million tons himself.
Wow, that's
just over himself. I know I personally I think my number is like rank 4. I think I'm like at 800,000 or 700,000 in total.
okay.
1
Is where I'm
million?
at.
You said 1 million tons by himself.
Yeah, I think he's at 1.1 or 1.2 million now.
We've got several who's in that list.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Again, because of all the data we compile, we basically have monster lists of who ranks where and what. Depending on what filter you want.
Yeah,
I can tell you who hauls the most indium ever in the history of ever, who hauled the most CMMs ever, who's again just hauled overall the most.
Yeah.
What kind of ship are they using to haul when they're doing 1 million tons? Like,
So at the end of the day,
or...
as much as Exegius said he's not a fan of it, I won't say a lot of us, but a good amount of members end up using a shieldless cutter build.
Sure.
Okay.
Some way, shape, or form, only because the cutter, at least at the moment, can carry the most cargo at 794 tons.
Yeah,
right.
Unshielded.
And at least,
right,
and I can speak for this one commander. I do know, yes, that he flies a shieldless cutter with 794 tons.
And it has that
Awesome.
speed.
And
Yeah, and and just to be clear for everybody, right? Let me clarify my comments here, right? It's if you are a veteran player, and certainly if you've gotten to the cutter, I would hope you're some level of veteran player, right?
Yes.
And you're assuming that level of risk. Hey, great. I mean, like that. Sure, whatever you choose to do, and at least I would say if you're doing that, at least use those 2 Class 5 slots for hull reinforcements, and please maybe at least engineer those and engineer your hull, or at least
Military-grade
run
armor.
military grade armor.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Right. So at a minimum, run that. Right. So I completely understand that. I just personally don't like recommending that because I'm always going to recommend the safest, right? The most defensible,
No,
right?
yes,
Yeah. Like,
then I'll always recommend the most aggressive and shoot stuff too.
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
Yes.
But 720 tons in a cutter, it's very well done with like a 6A prismatic and full weaponry too.
Right.
So I mean, you can be a very good battle trader if you want.
Yeah.
In a
Oh
cutter,
yes. Mm-hmm.
especially.
Yep. And for me,
I just did a quick calculation here.
Sure.
It's basically like almost 1,300 runs to do 1 million tons. And
actually, yes, the one member that has that number, the number one member, has been around with us since way back when Ida first got started. So yes, or just about when Ida got started.
That's
over a year now.
That's hardcore. It's always amazed me that it doesn't matter what part of the game you're talking about. Somebody has done it like ultra hardcore mode, right? Somebody
that's 1,300 times doing that. I'm thinking about things that I've done 1,300 times, much less in Elite Dangerous.
Well, and it's 2,600 round trips too, right? I mean,
it's
it's not just that it's 1,300 deliveries, right?
round trips. You're right.
Right?
Yes.
You know.
But that is Elite Dangerous, right? We do
Mhm.
things
Yes.
over and over. The grind of it is the gameplay sometimes, and so
Yes.
more power to them. That's neat.
Well,
Yeah.
especially when you then
Also-
have this level of reward with that level of grind, right? I mean, obviously, obviously they are getting a lot of, joy and fun out of that and being at the top of a leaderboard. And who thinks of that sort of leaderboard almost, right? Except for groups like you guys, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I saw in comments earlier that I think is interesting, if you want to talk about it, was emptying out the commodities. Just when you're moving mountains, like what happens when you just like deplete an economy's like
Mhm.
supply of something? Like what kind of happens with that? And then how does that have an effect on background simulation for like factions and players and things like that?
That's our cue to switch
Yeah.
to a different station for supply. Number one.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, we try really hard not to drain a station as much as possible. Naturally, I will say that when we do target a repair target, normally we don't deplete entirely anything, or at least we normally have not. We have had isolated incidents. I will say we kind of don't. I mean, we do try to keep in communication as much as possible. Like again, if I'll use the example, a few repair targets ago, one of the stations we were repairing was owned by a player group. So beforehand, we do at least give them a heads up by delivering a bunch of tons to your station or to this system that you are a part of. We will be either bumping your influence or your
Right, that's what I was
opponent's
thinking.
influence. And just to let you know this, I mean, just because this is at least just naturally delivering something to a commodity market will do this for that controlling faction. We just have to give them a warning now. So we have, in some ways, made player groups expand when they were not wanting to. And then I don't want to make it sound like it's only happened like once or twice. And then we always, of course, I mean, because we have so many members that come from so many different backgrounds, we always are willing to basically offer help. So if we do mess up your BGS and make you expand, we'll help you with your BGS. Or if we bump up your opponents when you aren't wanting to, we'll help you catch up to them. And or we try really, really hard to help our allies and or just the player or the community in general as much as possible, whether it means hauling. We've dabbled in AX defense, anything really, honestly, just as long as we're helping the community and people can say we're helping. That's all in a sense we care for.
And yeah, and just quickly, you mentioned about essentially impacting players' BGS. How often does that happen? I mean, do you guys have player groups coming to you saying, "Hey, what the hell? You just screwed up our BGS," or things like that?
We've never had anybody come tell us that. Yeah, we've never had anybody tell us, "Hey, y'all messed us up." But like I said, if we're repairing a target or a station and it does have a player faction, player group in system, we will notify them just from the get go. Yeah, we're going to be showing up, just so y'all guys know. We'll help y'all to talk to us if y'all need help.
Yeah. We have this operation going on in your space right now. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Right.
It's more of an issue when we were in the Pleiades with draining economies and the BGS.
Yes.
Since we've moved to the bubble, it's very relaxed. We don't tend to have any problems. If we identify any problems, we tend to sort them out straight away. Mm-hmm. The Pleiades was a very fickle environment. There were several stations we did drain of commodities, and that's when we started having to travel long distance, even for the simple things like metals, which do appear in the Pleiades, in mounts.
Yeah. And when we talk about, like earlier we talked about like what stations, and I'm just right now showing everybody the number of stations that that are in need of repair right now, which is just massive. I mean, and with essentially how many new are being damaged a week? I mean, I see there's 6 damaged right now. Is it usually 6? Is it a range of kind of 1 to 6? Like, what's the most you guys have seen there?
I would say, well, unless anybody wants to correct me, I'll say it's probably anywhere between 4 to 6 every week. Basically, all the infested targets. There's about Eagle Eye points to 6 different infested targets weekly. And because of the state of infestation right now and how hard it is to clear infestation, because there is no way of knowing if you cleared it correctly or not, it kind of is no longer a focus. Incursion states are now the focus for a lot of AX groups. Right, and so, that doesn't, in a sense, stop burning stations. Then that means the station has already been burning. So I will say probably about 4 to 6 every week is what burns until we can start combating infestation.
Yeah, this is really a problem that is just going to continue to get worse, not really better. I mean, if we're adding 6 a week, or even on the low side 3 a
4,
week,
yeah,
and you guys are only able to repair, and boy, I don't mean that way. If you guys are only capable with the sizes to repair 1 a week, right? That's that's some upside down math, isn't it?
Yes. Oh,
right.
yeah.
How many players? Oh, no, please go ahead.
No, all we can do is slow down what's happening.
Right.
We're rarely in front.
Yeah.
There was even that 1 week where Eagle Eye went a little bit wrong and
2
reset
weeks.
itself halfway through, and we had 12 targets in 1 week hits.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. And how many players do you guys have participate on kind of a weekly basis?
I can answer this one. Well, okay, so I can at least say we have 1,700 members on our Discord, and as of probably within the past 6 months, we have about 500 members that are active haulers. Per station, per week, I will say we have anywhere from about 40 to 60 individual commanders that will help per target. The best way to view Operation Ida is we are a revolving cast of volunteer firefighters.
Yeah.
You don't really ever see the same. Well, you do see some of the same faces, but there will always be a new face. There's always people just contributing an X amount as much as they can, and then disappearing to do their own thing. We don't try to make people lifetime members and force them to haul forever and all day long for us. I mean, any help you can possibly contribute is more than enough.
Yeah, I mean, I assume you have everything.
40 to 60.
Yeah, you've got everything from the guy who's delivered 1 million tons to the guy who does 1 run, and okay, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really my bag, but hey, I did my little part, so to speak.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, we have a lot of people that are like that, and then they enjoy just being on the Discord and the community that we have on our Discord. So I mean, they'll make a delivery and just kind of stick around just to be friends. So.
And you know what? Can one of you guys send me or tell me where to grab the permanent invite for the Discord? I'd love to throw that out to everybody in chat.
Blake and Hinge. Let's see how it goes.
It's also at the website. I posted the website too. So
okay, Aposto, would you post it in the would you post it in the link, Aposto, if you find it off the website, if you don't mind? That would be awesome.
I just posted them both into chat.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I see it.
I'm kind of hoping the chat drills
awesome.
Blake with questions.
Yeah, Aposto, have you noticed anything in chat that we haven't covered?
The 2 that I brought up, and then with the BGS, which is absolutely fascinating, especially since recently I've been getting into BGS. There was generally just those. We've got one here.
I was kind of hoping people would drill Blake. I kind of kept preaching in the chat for people to drill Blake with questions.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that earlier too. What's the nature of the universe, and those kind of fun questions for you. Apparently, that's fun.
Totally.
Be right back. I only had time.
And we talked a little bit about like the players can request stations be repaired or get added to the list. Mm-hmm. Can you guys share how you do make those decisions?
In some ways, yeah. It's not really rocket science. For us as a group, our focus was the player community first and foremost. I think that's the best way to explain that.
Sure.
So we do have, I'll say, probably at the moment anywhere between 5 to I think maybe 7 now requests, and basically again it's just a Google form. People can sit there and fill out the information. And what we do is we try. I mean, I won't say we try to chronologically get them done, but basically a basic criteria is that. How many tons are needed? How much help are we going to get from the player group that asked for help? How far is it located to the current target we're at currently? Is it good for morale? Have we basically, dragged on a station for 10 days? Do we need to hit a smaller target just to kind of get morale back up and fix something before we attempt a player target? Just basic little things like that. There really is no pure science to how we organize these things. We do, though, like I said, at the end of the day, we do try to get to the player request as soon as possible because those are basically our priorities.
Yeah,
we don't like to keep other
versus just kind of randomly going, okay, we don't have a request right now, let's go do this station, right?
Yes.
And I have to imagine. No, please, Pasto.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to ask because there's some questions here, and I thought there must be an inside joke or something, but what's the waffle recipe about, and where's the Waffle House?
So we have an affinity for waffles on our Discord. Waffles everywhere, and waffles is love. Our voice channel that I referenced earlier in the show is called the Waffle House, or one of our off-topic text channels is called the Ida Waffle Bar. We have an insane amount of waffle emojis spanning anywhere from waffle cast iron things to waffle cones, waffle chicken waffles, just waffles everywhere. Waffles. And then out in the Pleiades, one of our locals, or not local, but one of our main trusting sources of beryllium was a system called Keparagwe. And Keparagwe, in a sense, became a sacred place to Operation Ida. So we would make the joke or the running joke about beryllium waffles, and that is what we serve: beryllium waffles.
Okay.
Or beryllium syrup on your waffle. But yes, that
I do see a reference to it in your top secret, kind of what's the next repair target on your website. So that is fun.
Yeah, that's great. Well, being from the South, I'm a big fan of Waffle House, I have to admit. So I definitely approve of the waffle references. That's great. And so so then with the I assume you guys just kind of operate on that continual backlog. I mean, if you're getting 6 to 7, if you got 6 to 7 requests, by the time you fill, I'm assuming you never got those full where you're like, hey, I wonder what we're going to do this week.
Well, yes and no. When we were in the Pleiades, I mean, if you can imagine, the Pleiades is pretty quiet. Not many player groups that are at least residing out there.
Sure.
So we didn't have we basically were just doing a bunch of just random stations. At the end of the day, our goal, because when Ida first started, the whole goal was to repair the Oracle first and foremost, since it was the first station ever attacked ever. Well, along with Obsidian Orbital.
Yeah.
And then basically finish the Pleiades. And so that was our first goal before we ever hit the bubble. Once hitting the bubble, though, things changed pretty dramatically because all the players reside in the bubble. So we all of a sudden received request upon request upon request.
Sure. First of all, let me applaud you for pronouncing Pleiades correctly. That's a pet peeve of mine, so I appreciate that. Were you guys the player group that did repair Obsidian Orbital? Is that right?
No, sorry.
Yeah, we repaired the Oracle. Ninja can give you all the history about the Winged Hussars, right? I'm probably butchering their name. Winged Hussars.
The Winged Hussars.
Yeah, there you go.
They were the ones who really pushed forward for the Obsidian Orbital.
Okay, gotcha. Was that the first one to ever get player repaired? Am I right?
No,
both the Oracle and the Obsidian, but both those two basically were attacked almost the exact same week and were paired. Well, kind of, sort of.
Well, what happened was 3.0 came out, didn't it? And the station repair totals got reduced to about 90%. Well, 10% of what the original totals.
Yes.
The Oracle, we had actually repaired 50% of that, so we more than over repaired it. And the Obsidian Orbital had like an extra few hundred. It was 20 to 30,000 left as soon as that patch had released. So they'd almost done 10%. They finished it within the same week, and that was up the second. But the Oracle was effectively repaired when that patch came out.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
We over repaired it massively.
Yeah, well, to clarify what he's explaining is, so to give you an idea, when the Oracle was first attacked, the Oracle originally needed 19 million tons to repair it.
Okay.
Which, if you were to sit there and look at least our spreadsheet or look at the numbers overall for the current stations, normally the station costs now probably about 1 million, anywhere from 500,000 tons to 1.5 million tons to repair a station.
Okay.
Very different than the 19 million that it first originally started.
Yeah, I remember it being ridiculous. I mean, it's already pretty fucking high, but ridiculously high when it first started.
So when it was at 19 million, the Oracle received a really, really good show out of commanders. They hauled an insane amount, millions and millions of tons to the station, and then FDev decided to say, the numbers are too high. We need to nerf this. So they nerfed it. When they nerfed it, the realization came to be that, wow, we basically hauled enough to repair the Oracle. Why is it not repaired? We basically overhauled, and that's the best way to explain it. We overhauled for it, and basically, for whatever reason, all that overhaulage that the players did disappeared magically. That's just the best way to explain it. Magically disappeared, and FDev then expected us to still repair or finish the new nerfed total that they had given us, which in some ways a lot of people saw as unfair, given that we already did reach that number, at least twofold. And again, all that effort was just in a sense wasted and disappeared. So we did have a really huge fall off of members or people that were just interested in this entire thing. And that was the very first nerf We did get another nerf somewhere by 3.1 or 2. Well, actually, this past update, the last big content update in December, that was when we got the next nerf.
Okay.
And now stations are looking at they're about 500,000 tons to, like I said, 1,000,000 max, if at best.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Do you guys find that this kind of thing is sort of a running theme where you almost have to reverse engineer the way it works because FDev is so vague with, what's going on?
Kind of. Y'all guys want to chime in on that? For us, I think the biggest issue we've had to deal with is the delivery bug that was mentioned earlier, or the reason why we started collecting data in general. It was kind of frustrating to realize that, every single station we would go to, we would haul on paper, the required amount that they said was needed, but the station, like Blake said, was always 80% complete or 90% complete. We always had to overhaul 10 to 20%. And that, in a sense, got super frustrating. And then to learn from FDev that they understand or that they confirm it's a bug, that it's intermittent. They don't know why it's intermittent. They don't know why it affects different commanders, different times, and things of that nature. But just dealing with the frustration of that, because if you can, especially in the Pleiades, if you can imagine, it's an 800, I'll say a 600 to 800 light year round trip.
Yeah.
And so it kind of is demoralizing to make that 800 or 600 light year round trip, to make one delivery, and then realize your delivery never registered in Galnet for days, weeks. It just,
absolutely.
It was really demoralizing. And so I think that was probably the only time where we ever, I can't say ever, like fully tried to reverse engineer the whole process, but just really try to sit there and figure out all what we could possibly do to, I guess, be as efficient as possible and not see the results we wanted to see without having to deal with this bug. But I probably think that's probably the only incident where we've ever tried to think it like that. I'll say it that way.
And one thing I wanted to ask about with the repairs, I assume that they don't just as soon as you guys hit the target, they go to repair. It happens at the tick over. Is that right on the
Yes.
Wednesday night tick overs?
Yes.
Yeah, or Thursday morning, I guess it is technically. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so, do you guys? Is it ever when do you guys normally finish out a repair? Is it just very, very random? And do you guys try to say, okay, we know we should have finished this one. Let's move everybody to the next one. When do you guys make that decision?
No, don't crack open the new station until you finish the old one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So until the tick over happens and it's actually repaired, you keep going.
Well, yes and no. So because Galnet will tell you that the station, at least on Galnet, it'll say station complete or repairs complete. Once the station is complete on Galnet, we will go ahead and announce another target. We never try to give more than one target at a time, because you kind of start dispersing your group, and yes, you're making progress on individual stations, but at a very slow rate compared to slamming on one. So we tried really hard to just wait until the next target. We're done with one to start the next one.
Right, but if Galnet, but Galnet is current enough or up to the what is it?
Yeah, the day, 15 minutes or so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see that on a let's just make up something, on a Sunday, Galnet is updated and says this station is repaired. You're not actually going to see that until Thursday morning. But you can go ahead at that point and move everybody off to the next system. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. So. Okay, well, if there isn't anything else, if there's, as we I'm going to get kind of close to wrapping up here, are there any other things that we haven't discussed yet, that we haven't brought up, that you guys would like to toss in?
Ninja, you're the big boss.
No, I think we've done a fair job of covering stuff and explaining what we do, and anybody and everybody's welcome. I even had a message this evening whilst we're doing the live stream through Discord from one of the viewers saying that they'd like to join. They don't know what to do. Do we have any requirements? And I said, no, come and join us.
Do you have a spaceship?
Yes, do you have a spaceship?
Yeah. Do
you? The only other thing I could think of to talk about is some of the highlights that Operation Ida has had over the past year.
Please. Sure.
Unless anybody wants to help me chime in on them. Me personally, I can say I feel like one of the biggest accomplishments Ida, in game at least, has achieved would be repairing the entire Pleiades Nebula. I don't think people honestly realize
so good.
That we were basically the only player group out there repairing that area. We've spent 13 months repairing it, and it's a whole area of space, and it's a whole nebula, it's the front lines of the Thargoid, at least war. well, at least where it originated from. And I don't think we ever truly get enough credit for that. But it was an insanely huge accomplishment for us as a group. Because, I mean, that's the best way to explain it. It's a huge area of space that all of a sudden got repaired.
Yeah, I've got to admit, like I had not even really thought of that, and I'm in the galaxy map right now, zoomed in, and yeah, like, last time I kind of remember paying attention and looking in my region, the Pleiades region, that there were damaged stations everywhere, and now I look, and the closest station that's damaged looks like it's a good 100 light years or so away from there, right? So that is very impressive. Yeah, that really is impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be one of the big accomplishments. We mentioned multiple times, we did have a random event where we wanted to see. The event started with the idea of let's repair one station within 24 hours. Okay, and we got such a great turnout that we were able to repair that one station within 3 hours.
Holy
shit!
Then,
about 3.5, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours, and then in the same system there was another damaged station, and we decided, well, since we're in system, might as well do that one next. Oh, and well, to backtrack a little bit, before all of this, one of our admins, Zane, had came up with basically a roadmap of anywhere between, I'll say, 10 to 15 systems that were kind of lumped together, really close together. And we were going to, in a sense, use that as our roadmap for the next few weeks, so on and so forth. This was given to some of the members of Hutton, and there then decided to be a joint effort. Hutton had a 10 and 10 event.
Okay.
That, in a sense, coincided with our event. So we basically kind of had a week-long event. For us, though, like I said, we originally started with the 24-hour target, or at least the 2 and 24 hours, and then we basically helped or continued to help Hutton with the rest of their 10 targets. I want to say we helped with 5 or 6 of the targets.
Okay.
I want to say Hutton exclusively focused on Henry Dock, and I think it was like 2 or 3 other ones. So that was another huge accomplishment, because at the end of the day, with Hutton's help and everyone, because we had so many player groups, players in general that were helping both Hutton, Ida, and everywhere else, we were able to repair about, I think it was 8 or 9 stations within that 10-day span.
Okay.
Wow. So that was another really, really big accomplishment. We also, during last December, decided to have what we called a holiday event, using the word hall instead of HOLHAUL.
Sure.
Holiday Hall. The Holiday Hall, and we were raising money for a charity called Direct Relief. And we started with an initial goal of just raising about $500, and we were able to double that and make $1,100, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But at least for us, that was something we took pride in, at least outside of the game. It was something we really, really enjoyed doing, and just, again, like I said, it was a nice, small accomplishment.
Yeah, no, that's more than a small accomplishment. That's great.
Any other accomplishments, guys? No, unless, Izzy just wants to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, please. If there's anything else you guys can share, please.
I just can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty neat that you guys have your gallery, and it looks like there's some really cool posters and artwork that was created. Commander Draxor had
yes,
yes.
Draxor does awesome art. Yes,
and that's an interesting read. He's sort of chronicling. It's pretty cool. So I would throw that out there for everyone to check a look. I'll post the link.
I'm actually showing that in on stream right now. I pulled up the website and I'm just kind of scrolling through a few of the screenshots.
And then below the artwork for the posters, make sure you show everybody that. It's pretty neat.
Oh yeah, that is great, isn't it? Let me zoom out a little bit so I can get them on one page here.
Yeah, especially Draxor. Draxor does a really, 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 really badass art. Well, excuse my language, but really, really good art.
Was something fucking wrong with your language? Sorry.
No, he'll say, "Hey, it's your show, Aegis.
Did I miss something? I appreciate it.
I'm sure all the guys can attest that this is probably the most constructive and professional sounding I've sounded in a very long time.
Well, it's funny, the first couple streams I did, I remember people when I was cussing or something, and for those that know me, I have a complete sailor's mouth, and somebody's like, "Oh my god, it's so weird to hear Exegious cuss," and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Right? Like, just because I sound straight laced when I write a script doesn't mean that's how I actually talk, right?
See, Blake, give me credit, Blake.
You have done an excellent job.
Everyone has been on their best behavior today.
Oh, it's been great.
Anybody that knows tanks will know.
It's been great.
I've been on
Why
my
don't
best
we
behavior.
why don't we wrap up with this? I want to
No,
let
yes,
me
sir.
correct me if I forget here, but I'm going to run down kind of like what the general if somebody wanted to get involved, right? What they would do, right? And tell me where I'm getting something wrong. So they would contact you guys via the website and or the Discord, right? Ultimately, I assume
Mhm.
the Discord is the is the main point of contact with everybody, right? That's
All roads
Yes.
lead to Discord. Yeah.
yeah, great,
Yes.
great. So between there and the website, they're going to find the current target to repair, like we did today. They can decide based on based on the orders there, what needs to still be delivered. They can kind of pick like when we were chatting earlier, it was like, oh, okay, I've worked in IT forever, so I'll take computer components. That seems kind of fitting. Then
Mhm.
go to something like EDDB, Anara, something like that to find where you could use the in-game trading tools if you're absolutely batshit crazy. But you could use the Inara and EDDB to find that much quicker. Go buy your commodities, deliver your commodities like I just did, and then use the Discord to report that. And
Yep.
kind of
Rinse and repeat.
yeah, and that's pretty much it for the most part. Am I right, guys?
Yep. Yep. The
Very
only thing I
much.
can add in is, you mean for us on the spreadsheet that you were showing earlier, we ourselves do try to have a source for, or at least a recommended source for the pilots.
Okay.
That way they don't have to use the outside. I mean, you can if you want to, because there are people. At least for us, we don't pride ourselves in profit. Profit is not something that we are after. So at least our sources always just go off the criteria: what is the closest source to the station or repair
Sure.
target?
Sure.
The close light second distance. We don't want people traveling too far in light super cruise. And a station that has just a huge amount that we could just milk from. Other than that, that's kind of the only criteria we have. But we do try at least that way. That way, we save you the trouble of having to go to EDDB or anything of that nature. We'll just
Yeah.
find you the
Yeah.
closest and
Gotcha.
direct you to
Gotcha. And
that.
you guys have already
But
kind
other
of
than that,
done
yeah,
that
no,
research for everybody. Yeah, that's great. That's great,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Other than that, you
Um,
are totally right.
yeah.
Rinse and repeat.
All right, well, guys, I really appreciate all of you being able to join today. Thanks, thanks for listening. I was almost going to say thanks. Thanks for listening. I'm really glad you were able to join. Thanks was
Me
the
too.
main one that I communicated with while I was setting this up, and also wanted to say a big thanks for your involvement specifically also in the cheating and hacking stuff that we dealt with over the last weeks, last
Oh,
several weeks.
absolutely.
Just to bring that up very briefly, the guys here at IDA were generous enough to provide us a statement from them about their take on cheating, what they think on it, which was very consistent with all the other player groups that contributed to that too. Which in a
Yep.
nutshell is this is bullshit. Don't do it. We
Yep.
absolutely would not condone it. Absolutely would not allow someone in the group that was
Yep.
that was using that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah. We all take it
1000%. Yep.
very, very seriously, right? So,
Yes.
again, big thanks to everybody, to Blake, to Ninja for joining today. If this is something you guys find interesting, again, I don't enjoy trade at all, but this is the kind of stuff that I do enjoy. Doing role play, working with another group, right? And really, I have to give a little bit of credit to Frontier in that this is what the game is designed for, right? They build systems into this that we hopefully take and run with to make emerging gameplay out of it, and that's exactly what you guys have done. So I think it's to be commended on all sides.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, again, thanks, guys, and
Well,
for
thank you,
everybody
BJ. Appreciate
else,
it.
yeah,
Thank you
no,
for hosting
I'm
us.
happy
Yes,
to
thank you for having us.
let everybody know about you guys. After the stream, I'll make sure there's links because some of the stuff that we talked about today, links to the Discord, to the website, and stuff, I didn't get in the description of the video, but I'll make sure that's all updated for afterwards if people come and find the stream later, so that they can get involved, since that's the whole idea of this. So. Again, I appreciate everybody's time, and I'll be back on Tuesday night. Not sure yet. I haven't decided what we'll do for the Tuesday night stream for the IDA guys. Anybody else listening, you're always welcome to join. Tuesday nights are a lot more open. Invite everybody in, to ask questions. We picked some topic this last week. We did AXI stuff, so we went and took down a Hydra with a small ship, a wing of small ships, or actually, God, what were the Aposto? 25 of us, something like that.
Yeah.
40. No, well, 38.
Was
and
it
one
that? Yeah. Okay. So it was bigger than I was remembering. And that was big fun, right? So Tuesday nights are the nights to join us and get involved if you want. But again, thanks to the IDA guys and everyone. Enjoy their weekend and fly dangerously, guys.